On this holiday special, the Fantastics retain their American Tag Team Championships. Terry Gordy survives a loser leaves town match and stays in Texas. And the Von Erich family reigns supreme. Merry Christmas to all in Reunion Arena. I'm John Renton with the retro review of World Class Championship Wrestling, Christmas Star Wars 1984, where everybody did not get on the floor and do the dinosaur. Yes, I can't help but say that whenever a 4 is in a title. But anyway, this is in Reunion Arena in Dallas, Texas, where the crowd was really molten hot to see if Carrie Von Erich could recapture the NWA Heavyweight Championship from the dastardly Nature Boy Ric Flair. Unfortunately, he couldn't because they did a dodgy finish, and even despite some of the weird finishes on this show, this is still a pretty goddamn entertaining product at this time, and this show just had a big feel, and it would launch World Class Championship Wrestling into 1985, where they would still do some pretty good business, but unfortunately things would start to tail off, especially by the middle of 1986. It's a real shame because if only they had been able to just keep the momentum. There's a variety of reasons why. I said in documentaries and other pieces as to the reasons behind the momentum just basically halting, but they really had a lot of serious talent and some really good television production. And really, people were enjoying it. People were getting into it. They were enjoying it all over the world, even in Israel, where the Von Erich name is still talked about to this very day, apparently. I mean, I've never been to Israel. I've never been anywhere near Israel. The closest I got to Israel, I believe, was watching World War Z. I think that was Israel. I'm not really sure on geography. Anyway, enough of butchering this. Let's talk about this show that had a pretty damn packed house inside Reunion Arena. 20,000 people, more than at Thanksgiving Star Wars the month prior. This is from Classic Wrestling Stuff on YouTube, by the way. They have a lot of really good content. And while there are a couple matches cut from the lineup that is on Wikipedia, this is as close to a full card as you're going to get. And it was also only 82 minutes, and they packed enough stuff in, which even with the dodgy stuff, it still flowed along just fine. Didn't last 3 to 4 fucking hours for no goddamn reason. So Mark Lawrence does the intros, Bill Mercer, as always, on commentary, and I will once again champion Bill Mercer being recognized for the great sportscaster and great wrestling commentator that he was. And even though he had a career as a newscaster before this, he really is one of the unsung heroes of wrestling commentary. Like, his work in the 80s is fucking tremendous. Really was. So, Kelly Kaninsky versus Buck Zumhoff was cut. That's a good thing. Buck Zumhoff should be cut from every bit of wrestling history for what he did to his own fucking kid. If you know, you know. First match, Rip Oliver versus Iceman King Parsons. And we are family. And, well, Rip Oliver beat this, Parsons individual. I can't do songs at all. And Bill mentions how the one-man gang is coming. Tickets at all Ticketmaster locations. There was a lot of side headlock work in this. A lot. Seriously, a lot. I think it was like 80% side headlocks. And there was a buckle bump where Iceman hurt his shoulders. And Rip Oliver said, "Oh, shoulder breaker. 1, 2, 3. There you go." Jose Lothario versus El Diablo Grande was cut. Midnight Express with Jim Cornette taking on the Fantastics, Bobby Fulton, and Tommy Rogers. It's for the American Tag Team Championships, and this is a match that was talked about on Cornette's podcast during his deep dives that he's done on World Class and transitioning from Mid-South to World Class. He even talked about how he was like very, very sick at this point, but was still making the shot because that's just what you did back then. Now it's just cards subject to change. But the pace was good as expected. The Midnight Express and Fantastics always worked well together no matter what territory company they were working in. The crowd loved the Fantastics. Go, Tommy, go. Go, Tommy, go. Go, Tommy, be good. And even though everybody was in red tights, if you knew what these talents looked like and you just paid a bit of attention, even 10% of the attention, you would be able to tell the difference. And a crossbody pins Eaton 1, 2, 3, because this was actually going to be the last appearance of the Midnight Express in World Class, and then they were going to go to Crockett. And then Bill Watts, because he had paid him a whole bunch of money, had Bill Dundee basically guilt-trip them into saying Bill Dundee was the booker at the time in Mid-South, and basically says, he wants you to go to Dallas, and then he can bring you over for shots, and he did for a few months. And then Fritz and Bill Watts had a disagreement, and suddenly they were not getting a whole lot of work with a lot of people other than the Fantastics, and middling mid-card guys not really working with the Von Erichs very often, and even though they had shorter travel schedules, they ended up going to Crockett in mid-1985, especially after the payoff at the second Texas Stadium show, which Yeah, even though it was down from 1984, they should have gotten paid more. So, that was a good match, though. It's not the best match that they would ever have. They would go on to have better ones, but still, it was good for what it was. Bill Mercer interviews Kerry Von Erich about facing Ric Flair. He wants to win the NWA Championship again in the name of David. Yeah, about that. So, Kerry Von Erich versus Ric Flair. Rick could carry virtually anyone to anything good. Kerry was a natural at it, and he really was. Like, he just had that ability and that physical charisma, but just he didn't handle the fame well. And there's a lot of arm focus by Carrie. Go, Carrie, go, go. Carrie be good, and Carrie loses his foot a couple years later. Lots of submissions, lots of knee focus by Flair. Heavy chops, a sleeper hold, the claw hold, and Flair's bleeding. I'm shocked. Shocked that Flair bled in a match in the 80s. Then he sends Carrie over the top when he's got the claw hold on, and that's a DQ. Then Nick Roberts, who was a representative of the NWA Southern Division that they apparently still had, talks to David Manning, and then he cuts a promo afterwards, or does an interview. He tries to cut a promo. It's not very good. Flair basically has abused the NWA ruling. There's going to be a rematch immediately, if not sooner. If you get that reference, I love you guys. DQ rule will be waived. And David Manning tries to make sense of Nick Roberts basically sounding like he was bombed out on Quaaludes while talking. So then again, but then again, if you're not a natural speaker in front of a big crowd, and the crowd was pretty loud, 20,000 people, nearly a fucking sellout inside Reunion Arena. Footage of the Kevin Von Erich, Chris Adams feud from the turn inside the Sportatorium to the Cotton Bowl extravaganza, the first one, where Kevin got laid out and then he got his revenge, or he almost got his revenge at Thanksgiving Star Wars. And it's Chris Adams with Gary Hart taking on Kevin Von Erich. It's a lumberjack match where the lumberjacks were just around there and they really didn't factor much in. They were just there to keep the talents inside the ring. There were some rest holds, even though it's a short match, it seemed to be mostly rest hold heavy. When they got into the brawl and the crowd got more into it. Chris basically tumbles off the top onto the rope, but his feet just collide right with Kevin. Actually, it's almost his knees collide right in his chest. But Kevin covers 1, 2, 3. Then in his post-match brawl, Mike Von Erich shows up. Gary Hart gets punched out a bit. And that's it. Kevin Von Erich gets his revenge, for now, on Chris Adams. Terry Bam Bam Gordy, Buddy Roberts, and Chick Donovan took on Skandar Akbar, Missing Link, and Mr. X in a loser leaves town elimination match. Okay, so basically, even though Chick Donovan was only there for a bit, he got eliminated pretty quickly. By the way, you can get eliminated over the top rope by pinfall or submission. So it's a jump start into melee. Like I said, Chick Donovan got eliminated. Then Mr. X, whoever he was, I'm trying to remember who Mr. X might have been at this point. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank. Sorry. He got eliminated. And then Roberts got eliminated. Gordy then eliminated Skandar Akbar and Missing Link over the top rope after Link hits Skandar and he tumbles over. I think Skandar went to Mid-South for a bit after this because they had a talent agreement, him and Fritz Watson Fritz at this time. And Gordy was the last one in there, and so he stays. And then the Freebirds would reunite and basically take on the Von Erichs again at the second annual Texas Stadium show, or maybe they would team with them. I'm actually trying to remember because I reviewed so many of these world-class events that some of the cards are jumbling up in my head. I do apologize. And we then get Jake Roberts and Gino Hernandez taking on Mike Von Erich and Billy Jack Haynes, who was just known as Billy Jack. Do you know Billy Jack? And so they called him Mace. Stop talking, Johnny Longbone. All right, Mike was not good. The intros were about half the length of the match, and he got the claw on Roberts, Clawberts, if you will, and got the victory 1, 2, 3 in about 4 minutes. That's it. So, bit of a rundown here at the end as to what is available on YouTube right now. The 1985 Thanksgiving and Christmas Star Wars events are on there, and I'll be recording those at some point. And then, skipping all the way ahead to the 1987 Christmas Star Wars event, I'll be reviewing that. If the other ones get uploaded, that's fine. I don't know the exact dates on these, so I would have to really do a deep dive on YouTube. But it doesn't appear they're available, so that's fine. It's still cool that these events, even cut, are available, so it's great. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments. And again, let's celebrate the holidays with a Christmas celebration. Ow. Anyway, agree, disagree with what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rentlin. I'll see you soon.